This is Redoute 2. And I want to show you how beautiful this new transfer is. This is when you first get it. It comes in a plastic sleeve. And it's a collection of roses. It's quite beautiful. This is a dresser that I'm going to apply the transfer to. I chose Monet's Garden from DIY Paint because I thought it would look perfect with the transfer. DIY Paint is rich in pigment. Look how creamy that is. Purchase DIY Paint at GoodsonVintageTreasures.com. I applied 2 coats of Monet's Garden to the dresser, allowing each coat plenty of time to dry. I used 2 brushes in this project. I used my French tip brush, and I also used the sampler brush. After 2 coats of paint, I allowed the dresser to dry overnight. The next step is to add Big Top. I pulled the drawers out and set them flat on the floor to make it easier to paint them. This also allows me to paint the frame of the dresser easily. Notice how the color changes when you add the Big Top. I like to use the Big Top either in a little cup, or if I'm almost out, I'll use it in the container because you can contaminate your container of Big Top. It won't hurt the Big Top, but it might make it smell bad. The top of this piece was laminated, and when I put a coat of Big Top on it, it kind of pulled the paint back up. So I painted another coat of Monet's Garden, and now I'm going to put the final coat of Big Top on it. I'm using my sampler brush here, and I also have the Big Top in a cup to keep it from getting contaminated. Let Big Top dry overnight before applying your transfer. It makes it so much easier to put the transfer on. Now it's time to choose my different roses and where I want to place them. I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted to place each rose pattern, so I laid it out without removing the backing. Once I had a pattern I liked, I started removing the backing and adding each piece one at a time. I love that big rose. It was as big as my hand. To place the IOD transfer, you simply remove the white backing, press it onto the piece of furniture, and start rubbing with the little tool you're given. It's nice that it has grid lines so that you can line it up just as you want. As you can see, because I had Big Top down first and it was thoroughly dry, the transfer went on quite easily. Just continue to rub the transfer until it's released from the paper. To rub over the transfer with my hand to make sure all the pieces are down, and then I take a piece of the top transfer paper and just rub over it. You can also use a soft cloth for this. Now I'm finishing putting the rest of the transfers on. In some parts I used big, large sheet of the transfer. In other parts I used tiny pieces. Once you have all your transfers on, it's time for another coat of Big Top. This will protect each transfer and keep it safe from being scuffed or marred. Next, I wanted to highlight those pulls, so I took a little bit of Pennies from Heaven, which is our copper patina. I put a little bit of Pennies of Heaven on my finger and rubbed it onto the pulls, just to give them a little bling. Once the liquid patina and the Big Top are dry, it's time to add clear wax. You don't have to add clear wax on top of Big Top, but I love the soft, smooth look of clear wax. I used my big waxing brush for this. All the brushes that I've used today can be bought at GoodsonVintageTreasures.com, and the transfers can be purchased there too, or on Etsy. If you're local, look me up at Just Around the Corner in Lincolnton for IOD and Picket Fence Antiques More in Newton, North Carolina for paint. The last step will be to buff this. I'm going to let it sit overnight before I buff it. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, please. And hit that little bell for reminders. Thank you so much for watching. I publish a video about every week. For this project, I used Monet's Garden and DIY paint, Big Top, and Pennies from Heaven. And then I used the clear wax, and I used the IOD transfer Redoute too.